This is Seasons of Discontent with your hosts Rick Snyder and Matt Combs.
Welcome to Seasons of Discontent, Season 11, Episode 25, brought to you by Rick Snyder's Washington across social media, and I'm Rick Snyder.
And I'm Matt.
And we're back discussing all things Washington sports and life as part of the mighty Rick Snyder Empire, so tune in. All right, let's do some quick news that just came out on the Washington Commanders. Both Zach Ertz and Jeremy Chin will be in concussion protocol this week, which to me means they don't play against Philly on Sunday. It'd be kind of rare. Zane Gonzalez, when he does come back, will be the kicker. He's got a left foot problem still. But the guy that replaced him the other day, I don't know if they're really deep into him, but Zane will be here whenever, I had 7 guys under contract this year, kicking wise. And then Tyler Biadasz is expected to be back for the Eagles game. He had some kind of flu, nasty thing. It, just hit him that day. So much for that. All right. So there's the latest of news.
For kicker, I'll be honest with you real quick. For the kicker, they need to sign the kid that the Kansas City Chiefs cut when Butker came back. That kid was awesome.
Well, for all the kickers they've had, they've done overall a pretty good job.
Yeah, except for Greg Joseph.
Well, he got 2 out of 3.
And hell, the guy, the one guy that they had, I can't even think of his name, he's kicking for Cincinnati right now.
Yeah. I mean, the Saints game had some weird stuff in it, including they had a field goal and a penalty. So they took the penalty, moved closer, got the touchdown, had a penalty, had to move back. You're like, what? 2 scores negated already. Then they managed to score. But
well, do you want to get into the ref stuff now, or do you want to wait until after we recap a little bit, because that's a long one?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can. And that's why it's called Seasons of Discontent, because there aren't too many lollipops around this place.
It's amazing we're discontent with a win, but I mean, it was just. I'm gonna say this again. Dan Snyder does not own the Washington Commanders anymore. NFL and NFL officiating. I swear, this is multiple games this season, Rick, where it's just out of this world penalties and no calls. I just don't get it.
Saturday night I did a video based on a poll that was sent me about how many fans thought the NFL games were rigged. And Washington had the 5th highest at 18% of fans thought it was rigged. Houston, I remember, was number 1. So that was on Saturday night. And then Sunday, this game happens and people are like, yeah, dude, it is rigged. Did you see that? And I was like, well, I mean, you got to be awful good to rig a game in a way, as in we'll score with no timeout, but fail on the 2-pointer. I mean, it's
not necessarily rigging. To me, honestly, Rick, it's just you're dictating the game, and it goes along. You can't help but think about the NBA ref scandal back in the day where the dude was making all the money and fixing the games, not necessarily fixing the games, but like this, I think the Commanders were 7-point favorites. They won by a point. You know what I mean? And with a late touchdown where the ref stopped the clock. The ref stopped the clock after the completion at the 1. The clock doesn't stop. This isn't college football. And then for Sean Hockley, whose father was an excellent referee, if you want to go back to it, Ed, Sean, for his, he had no explanation for it. He was like, well, the ref, the side judge stopped the clock when he shouldn't have. Well, why? I don't have anything else to say about this. Well, y'all going to do anything about this? No, you're not. It is 2024. We cannot have the amount of stupid human errors in these games that we've been having. And it's not just the Commanders games. It's all over the season. This stupid penalty with the illegal man downfield where a lineman takes a step over the damn line of scrimmage is the most infuriating penalty that I've ever seen in my life. You have ruined so many nice plays for every team in the league because of this dumb penalty that you've decided to emphasize this season. The officiating is crap. And it's ruining the game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they had I love the referee, because what they do with the media is they have a home team has a designated media person to ask officials questions. And that one was actually a candid answer, a couple of times of that's all I got for you. And I thought, Okay, yeah, we did screw it up because normally they never admit that kind of
Oh
thing,
yeah, no,
and,
they're not
and
going to admit it.
that was huge. So if that play had made the difference, what would the NFL have said to Washington? It's too bad, man. I mean, and it's happened before on other penalties. Happens all the time. Everybody sends in penalties every week to the league on Tuesdays. Everybody's got a handful of things they send in. But it would have been a real shame to have seen that because that was the season right there in a way.
Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, Rick, that play never should have happened. The Saints never should have had the ball with a chance to tie the game because of the whole game. They've been calling ticky-tack stuff. The penalty on the Saints to take the field goal off the board and give them a first down for roughing the snapper. Come on, man, that was weak. I know you're not allowed to go after the snapper. He's a defenseless player and all that, but at the same time, that was a weak call. And that was for the Commanders, so I'm being unbiased here. But then you fast forward to the end of the game, and you have a clear defensive pass interference. The guy never turned and looked at the ball. He stuck his hand and his arm in the receiver's neck and face and tackled the guy before the ball even got there. And you don't call the pass interference. That goal line stand never should have happened because they should have been up by at least 10 points at that point.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so the Saints score. It's 2019. You could kick the extra point and go into overtime, but he said, let's go for two.
Yeah, what's he care? He's losing his job at the end of the year. He's an interim.
And I'm thinking, hey, Dan Quinn said home teams don't do that for 2-point conversions. That's why they didn't do it. And then he missed the extra point a few weeks ago. I just thought, whoa, that's just the exact opposite. And Quinn, to me, Quinn made a mistake kicking that 54-yard field goal because the problem, people were like, what were we supposed to do? I'm like, you're supposed to punt it down to like the 10 and make that rookie go 90 yards and not 56 yards on a clock like this. I mean, I didn't know. I know Quinn was trying to get a knockout, but he's done this before, and you get knocked out instead of delivering it. He took the blow.
And realistically, it was only like 4th and 4 on that at that point. The way the offense, well, not the offense, but Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin were going, they probably could have picked up that first down. So I was scratching my head at that play a little bit because we've known Quinn to be very aggressive on 4th down. I understand what he was trying to do. But instead you had a guy you've just kicked that you've just picked up off the scrap heap kicking for you, who the New York Giants cut. So that'll tell you right there. He's probably not any good, or the Giants cut him because he was too good, and they were trying to tank. But no, I mean you can't kick that field goal. I say you punt or you go for it. I mean realistically, kicking the field goal was essentially it's going to put him in the same place as if you had went for it and not got it. But they were getting first downs. Like Jaden played a hell of a game. Terry played a hell of a game. There was no run game what to speak of, and I felt like Jaden was running for his life the whole game because the offensive line is in shambles yesterday. I mean, Chase Young had 2 sacks. When's the last time Chase Young had 2 sacks in a game? Was he wearing a Redskins jersey?
Yeah. Well, it must have been his rookie year.
Yeah, exactly.
On there. But, to me, there was a couple of things about this game. Jaden, to me, Jaden had a really good game. Hey, he was 2 fingertips away from a 4-touchdown game. But I think what the Saints did was smart. They've seen other teams do this to Washington, bottle them up on the ends. They clearly dominated both tackles, pushed it inside. Jaden holds on to the ball too long, takes at least 4 of those sacks himself.
Yeah.
8. And then he's got to force in the middle of the field passing. Ertz goes down in the second quarter. You don't really have a pass catching tight end. They went to me, they're looking for a number 2 receiver, and I think they're going to do it by committee, but a couple of things showed up. One, De'Ami Brown's a much better slot receiver with that speed of his than wasting them downfield.
Yeah.
He did a nice job. Olamide Zacchaeus, if I got that right, had 3 catches and looked good. He looked good. And then you had even Jameson Crowder came out of nowhere for 3 catches. And to me, I think Luke McCaffrey maybe gets more time. They don't have a tight end really to promote for pass catch. I mean, Sennett was supposed to be, but I haven't seen it all year. So to me, I'd rather see McCaffrey get some more snaps there. But they've got to figure out how to push that inside game better, especially passing-wise. They've got to go ahead and run between the guard tackle versus, the tackle outside. They can't get outside. they've had a hard time doing that several weeks.
Well, you have to make the change at right guard, or right tackle. You have to go back. You have to go back to Lucas because Wiley can't do it. We've seen Wiley he's a turnstile. Last year he was a penalty machine. To this year he can't block anybody. But they did make a claim. They claimed KJ Osborne off of the Patriots when the Patriots released him. He's in town. That was a guy with a lot of promise when he was in Minnesota. Maybe the problem, like you said, with Diami's got speed, he's a good slot receiver, plus he's a smaller guy. You've got Zacchaeus, who's also a smaller guy with some speed. Crowder is 31 years old. I mean, you're not going to rely on him too much to be your number two. I say throw Osborne out there, see what he's got. The kid's got speed, he's got a little bit of size to him. It can't hurt. I mean, I probably against the Eagles is not the game to do it because they've got a stellar secondary. But yeah, I mean, that's a guy that clearly they saw something in, and Adam Peters has seen something in because that's not some guy that you're just going to be like, oh well, let's bring this guy in off of what he did in New England. No, that's the guy that he's had tape on for many years and possibly wanted to bring him into San Francisco. But yeah, I think you have to definitely start with the line change. You have to put Lucas back at right tackle. You get Biotish back. That'll help because was it Clint Didier was the center? I just saw the last name and that's what popped in my head. Yeah, I mean that he did a good job filling in, but whew, that offensive line struggled against a pretty decent Saints defensive line, but not a very the Saints haven't done that all season.
The one guy that didn't make the box score, and we never saw him, was Marcus Lattimore because
Marshawn Lattimore.
Yeah, I mean Lattimore got one ball his way. Marshawn, I'm sorry, yeah, and that never, they didn't try him one time. Was he Darryl Green all of a sudden? That was interesting. So
I think that was a Saints team locker room meeting saying, look, don't make this guy look good and make us look stupid for trading him.
Yeah, it was interesting. Benjamin St-Juste did get 3 snaps, one almost penalty.
Yeah.
We can say goodbye to him now. I mean, but you did see the difference. They would have picked on St-Juste. I mean, most teams do. And instead, they didn't even throw at that spot. So that was pretty interesting.
It was pretty good. The secondary played well. I mean, we saw Sanistro got a pick yesterday. Probably should have had a second one. I'm not even going to attempt his name. Number 1, he played very well. And like you said, Lattimore had one ball thrown at him. That was it. So, and now with injuries, obviously you're losing your starting safety in Jeremy Chin, who has been a very impactful player for this team since bringing him in. You got to hope Quan Martin is healthy and, it's going to kind of be a committee back there for the second safety spot. But, there was just so much that went wrong for them in the second half against the Saints. Obviously, you didn't prepare for Spencer Rattler. You prepared for the Zoolander guy, and they embarrassed him. That kid looked about as inept as Sam Howell looked last night for the Seattle Seahawks. But yeah, it was.
He's a game. I talked about Spencer Rattler back in the draft. Not that I thought he was a first rounder, but I always loved the name. It just made me look at this kid. And he made a couple of throws for a kid thrown in there. To me, if I'm the Saints, I start him the rest of the way.
Oh, for sure.
Because why wouldn't you? I mean, you might as well see what he's got. There's a lot of injuries starting to pop around the league. You got Mahomes limping. That's not good.
High ankle too. That ain't gonna heal quickly.
Yeah, and it's a high ankle sprain. High ankle sprains are typically, they're at least 2 to 4, depending on how they are. They can be 4 to 6. I don't know which one his really is. They don't say. I mean, he played with it last year, and if you can tape it up hard enough and get the needle, you can get out there. But there's a lot of things like that going on. Watching teams. I watched Detroit. Man, how many points did they give up to Buffalo? 48.
Yeah, but it was like 48 to 41. Like it was a offensive explosion by both teams.
Yeah, but they were clearly ahead the whole game. I mean,
oh yeah.
Giving up stuff because you get in those shootouts, you tend to give up sloppy stuff. But if Detroit loses another game and Philly wins out, Washington's playing Detroit in that first rounder.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of playoff scenarios we'll talk about today.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be back on Thursday after this. So 2 shows this week. Woo! We're rolling along.
Mhm.
It's
a Christmas miracle.
All the click money we're getting. Yeah, I don't know what we're doing next week. I'll have to ask that.
We'll talk about that after the show.
Yeah. All right. I'm Rick Snyder.
I'm Matt.
See you soon.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Seasons of Discontent with your hosts, Rick Snyder and Matt Cohn.